The pursuit of youth is a billion-dollar industry, but for men over 50, attempting to look younger often backfires dramatically. The very efforts meant to subtract years frequently add them instead, creating an impression not of vitality, but of desperation. Distinguished gentlemen make 7 critical mistakes when trying to look youthful, spending thousands on clothes, products, and procedures that work against them rather than for them. The results aren't just expensive, they're counterproductive. Today I'm revealing these 7 fatal errors and the effective alternatives that actually work. The solution isn't pretending to be younger, it's showcasing the power that only maturity can provide. The truth is counterintuitive. The most youthful appearing men over 50 never try to look young at all. They understand something fundamental. Authentic confidence is more attractive than artificial youth could ever be. 1. The graphic t-shirt trap. The first mistake is embracing graphic t-shirts and loud prints. Many men reach for these thinking they create a youthful, casual appearance. The reality is starkly different. They create visual dissonance between your age and your clothing choices, drawing attention to the gap rather than bridging it. Unlike younger men who can pull off ironic or bold graphics, mature men appear as though they are borrowing someone else's style, creating the impression of trying too hard rather than effortless confidence. The effective alternative isn't boring clothing, but elevated basics with perfect fit and subtle details. Navy, deep green, burgundy, and neutral solids create a sophisticated palette that flatters mature skin tones while remaining current and versatile. The impression isn't trying to be young, but rather confidently current, a critical distinction. 2. The denim disaster. The second mistake is choosing the wrong denim. Many men select overly distressed, aggressively faded, or inappropriately styled jeans thinking they'll create a casual, youthful appearance. Instead, they create a jarring contrast between the styling and the wearer. Pre-distressed jeans with artificial fading, contrast stitching, or decorative details read as costumes. The exaggerated elements designed for younger consumers appear particularly incongruous on distinguished gentlemen. The solution isn't abandoning denim altogether, but selecting the right versions, clean, dark indigo with minimal detailing and appropriate cut. The leg should be straight with a subtle taper, not skinny, not loose, and the rise should sit at your natural waist for proper proportion. Quality denim in the right cut actually creates a more youthful impression than trendy options because it appears intentional rather than imitative. The confidence of appropriate choices reads as far more vital than chasing trends ever could. 3. The hair misfire. The third mistake involves hair choices that contradict rather than complement your natural appearance. Whether it's clinging to the same style you wore decades ago, attempting overly young cuts, or fighting gray aggressively, these approaches typically add years rather than subtract them. Hair that appears unnaturally dark or uniformly colored lacks dimension and contrast with mature skin. Similarly, styles that worked in your 30s create dated impressions when carried into later decades. The effective approach embraces your current hair realities with strategic choices. If you're keeping your gray, ensure the cut is current and well maintained. If you're coloring, opt for subtle dimension rather than flat, uniform coverage. A skilled colorist can add slightly darker tones that create natural-looking contrast. The most youthful appearing men over 50 have hair that looks appropriate and intentional, not preserved from another era or borrowed from a younger demographic. The right cut and subtle color work with your features rather than fighting against time. 4. The footwear failure. The fourth mistake centers on footwear choices that immediately date you or create visual disconnect with the rest of your appearance. Whether clinging to outdated styles or attempting overly casual options, square-toed dress shoes, chunky athletic styles worn in non-athletic settings, or overly casual options like flip-flops in inappropriate contexts, all communicate either being stuck in the past or misunderstanding current standards. The solution isn't expensive designer footwear, but thoughtfully chosen shoes with clean lines and current proportions. A classic derby or loafer with an almond toe shape, neither pointy nor square, creates timeless appeal that works across settings. For casual situations, refined sneakers and clean designs without excessive logos or technical elements create contemporary style without appearing as though you're chasing youth culture. The key is selecting options that bridge the gap between overly formal and inappropriately casual. 5. The accessory overload. The fifth mistake involves accessory choices that either remain trapped in another decade or attempt to adopt younger trends wholesale. Whether it's dated jewelry from years past or an abundance of bracelets borrowed from current youth culture, these choices draw attention for the wrong reasons. Chunky necklaces, excessive bracelets, or oversized watches with complicated dials often appear as costumes rather than authentic expressions of personal style. The more you add, the more opportunity for creating dissonance between your accessories and your natural authority. The effective approach focuses on quality over quantity, with minimal but significant pieces. A single quality timepiece with appropriate proportions for your wrist, a simple wedding band if applicable, and perhaps one additional meaningful item creates refined presence. The most sophisticated men understand that restraint communicates confidence. One excellent piece will always create a more youthful impression than multiple trendy items competing for attention. 6. The proportion problem. The sixth mistake revolves around improper proportions that fight against rather than flatter your current physique. Many men either cling to the fits of their younger days or attempt overly slim, shirts that fit too tightly across the middle, or jackets with shoulders that extend too far all create visual imbalance. These proportion errors immediately identify clothing choices that aren't in harmony with your present self. The solution isn't hiding behind oversized clothing, but embracing proper fit for your current proportions. Pants should sit at your natural waist, not below it. Shirts should skim the body without clinging. Jackets should follow your shoulder line exactly without extending beyond or pulling tight. The most youthful impression comes from clothing that appears to have been made for exactly who you are today, not who you were decades ago or who you wish you were. 7. The authenticity absence. The final and most significant mistake transcends specific items. It's the pursuit of youth itself rather than authentic personal style. When your choices reflect desperation to appear younger, they create the opposite effect, drawing attention to the very thing you're trying to disguise. True vitality doesn't come from imitating younger demographics, but from the confidence to make choices that reflect your actual experience, status, and self-understanding. Authentic style evolves naturally rather than attempting arbitrary jumps to trends that don't align with who you are. The most effective approach embraces the advantages only maturity can provide: the authority to choose quality over quantity, refinement over trendiness, and intentional curation over random accumulation. These are privileges earned through experience that younger men typically haven't developed. Distinguished gentlemen who embrace their actual stage of life paradoxically appear more youthful than those fighting against it. The confidence of authentic choices creates an impression of vitality that artificial youth chasing never achieves. The ultimate solution isn't trying to look young, it's showcasing the confidence, discernment, and personal authority that only come with experience. These qualities are inherently attractive in ways that transcend simple chronological age. If you found value in these insights, subscribe for more practical style advice specifically for distinguished men. True style isn't about appearing younger, it's about being the most compelling version of exactly who you are.